And welcome back, everyone, to part 5 or 4. I didn't actually check which part we're on. We're either on 4 or 5, I want to say. I'm double checking right now, getting that up. If you're stopping slow, let's see here now. Come on, which part are we on? Oh my God, it's just dragging its ass at the moment. Okay, there's that. Don't need that happening at the moment. We're on part 5. Okay, that's what it was. Part 5. Now, again, I'll be honest. This might be the last part of the series, and then we'll start the Dragon Balls on Saturday. I'll put a poll up and everything. But so last time we had to deal with Gentle Criminal, Overhaul, and remember, Mirio's the one with One for All. Now, I did have someone say that. How did they put it? What was their argument for why Mirio probably would still lose his quirk? I'm going to see if I can find the actual comment that was made here and read it verbatim. Okay. They said, I think it doesn't matter if they got more than one. It's targeting quirk factors, or the body is in general like a virus, to revert it into a base human state. Don't think there's any fighting that ain't fighting a battle of will. It's just biological attacks with some temporal tampering on a cellular level. Against the Nomu, it's weird because it's a corpse modified, so it would, but it might revive the body instead. It affects the personal timeline of the body alongside a targeted and guideline path as a side effect. Or the thing drops dead. Never thought too much on using it on the Nomu. Okay, so right out the gate, that's what you said there about the Nomu. That's when you said some temporal tampering on cellular level against Nomu. It's because it's a corpse modified. It might to revert the body back. Well, no, it wouldn't revert the body back, because that's not affecting the quirk factor. That's affecting the body and the person then. So that you wouldn't do that. But the fact is, too, there's multiple quirk factors. It's so that would someone like One for All, or a One for All user, there's multiple quirk factors. It's not one quirk factor. We don't know how it would react to multiple quirk factors, like someone with One for All. And the fact is, like I said, One for All has sentience in it. It has vestiges who, in theory, could just sacrifice their quirk like they did against All for One Shigaraki and just protect the quirk factor of One for All overall. So, I get what you're saying. I just think there's a lot more going on there, because we've only ever seen it used against a person with a single quirk factor. That's just it. But anyway, Gentle Criminal, Midoriya kind of handled him without too much problem. And now that means we'd lead into the joint training arc, which I think this would be a moment where everyone reminisces about the fact that Iida's no longer with them. They take a moment to kind of just like appreciate and, respect his memory, appreciate that, all that. But Shinso's there, which means two big things. Again, obviously, Iida's not there, but B, Shinso replaces Iida. He is almost certainly going to be the one that takes that spot on that team in that fight. There is no Shinso in the first fight, and there's no Shinso in the second fight. Which means there's going to be some drastic changes in terms of how those go. Because without Shinso, I'm not saying it would have been impossible for them to win that first match, but it was down to Kaminari, who did get caught. Shoto also got caught. Asui was there and on that team, and Kirishima was on that team. I think it was Shoto and Kirishima who had been caught. And then Kaminari had to get himself caught to have the plan work. I'll be honest, realistically, I don't think they win that fight. And Class 1A loses the second fight as well. So they're down 2-0. But that third fight, see, without really understanding Shinso's quirk, or and Shinso having the ability to change his voice and make it sound like someone different, I think first off, Mudman, who was paramount to helping them win that fight, would certainly be going down, because he'd probably think he'd hear someone else's voice. Even though Mudman's actually really smart and got a really good quirk too. I think he's in trouble. I think was it Tenko? Tenko's in trouble because he's just too much of a hothead. So I think he's in trouble. Pony, nah, I don't know if she's in trouble, though she might get in trouble. I think with Shinso on that team pretty much all but guarantees a win, quite frankly. And then there was the guy who, oh crap, who was the fourth member of that team? It wasn't the guy with the scales. That was on the first team. I'm trying to remember who that team was. It was Pony. It was Mudman. It was Tenko. Oh, who was the last member of that team? Because that was Ida, that was Shoto, that was Shogi. It wasn't Invisigirl. It wasn't Tokiyame. It wasn't. It says Bakugo's Soy Fate. Who was the other member of that team? Oh, it's bugging the hell out of me. Oh, and it was Tail Guy. That was it. But who was? Either way, I think with only 4 in Shinso, yeah, I do think they win that fight. Then we know for a fact Bakugo and his team win their fight. So it comes down to Midoriya fighting off against Monoma, the girl with telekinesis, the girl with the shrinking and expanding quirk, and the guy with the double impact quirk. Honestly, frankly, Midoriya's quirk is going to be too much for Monoma, because if Monoma can't get a hold of his quirk, Deku's tech allows him to now hit all around him, so Deku isn't going to be able to be taken off guard with that easily. So I think all he's got to do is and just hit Monoma at least once to kind of ring his bell. And quite frankly, and even if it goes into a free-for-all, Deku's now got the ability to kind of concentrate sound vibrations, so he's not going to be hitting people willy-nilly, just hitting with sound bullets. So overall, yeah, I think they would win that outright. Because Deku's not having the interference of One For All in this fight, so there you go. Now, keep in mind with One For All, too, Mirio would still constantly be training with One For All, getting stronger and stronger. No joke, by the time think words here. By the time Shigaraki tries to come out for One For All in that first, invasion, Mirio is at least at a easy 50% for One For All. I have no doubt about that, given the fact that he probably spends most of his time just training. And he has Black Whip. I have no doubt he also probably has Float. Because Mirio's also just busy saving people. He has Float. He might even have Danger Sense at this point. In fact, because it's just who Mirio is and the amount of dedication he has, the first 4 quirks might be just already available to him. That's how much more of a kind of prime candidate for One For All he really is than Midoriya, if we're going to be honest. But admittedly, he probably won't live past his 30s, which is unfortunate for him. But mid-30s. Last guy didn't make it. He made it to 40, and the other guys just died young. Realistically, he's probably not making it past his early 30s, unless he passes One For All on to the next person, which would probably save his ass in terms of the amount of time he has left, I guess. But remember, the reason it'd be realistic for him to have these quirks is because while, it does respond to a need, it's also the fact that the vestiges, if they just deem him worthy, can just bestow the quirk on him. That's what happened with the final 2 users, the second and the third user. They just finally came to agreement on Midoriya and who he was and what he needed to do. So that's what could happen. I don't know if he has those yet. But the fact he'd have Black Whip, Float, and you had Float with the ability to just jump out at hyperspeed from the ground. Holy crap, that's a dangerous combo. But Float, Smokescreen, or Fog, I think it's called, but Smokescreen, and Danger Sense, and you had Danger Sense with Permeation, you're never touching Mirio. Not once. And if we're assuming that One For All has heightened his quirk, he can now permeate things that aren't him. He can just touch things and permeate them. So even Shigaraki is kind of effed here. And so when the fight actually happens, because Shigaraki has the Search Quirk, he's not going for Midoriya. He's going for Mirio, who then shows up on the battlefield and is ready to just throw down. And Mirio probably throws down a lot harder than Midoriya does. Mind you, Midoriya is going all out with One for All, so he is technically hitting harder than Mirio, but Mirio is keep making sure not to be touched by Shigaraki at all. He's using Danger Sense. He uses Fog, and he just starts going wailing on Shigaraki. It's a fight for the ages, really. And Mirio's permeation makes him just near impossible to hit, and then Danger Sense added on that gives him the perfect kind of defense. So ultimately they just start. Ultimately, Shigaraki's just getting frustrated. The problem, though, is I don't think Mirio has it all in him at that time to beat Shigaraki. I don't think he has, because he's not able to go full power without breaking his body. So even when he does, it's just not enough at this point. Now, I don't think, after Shigaraki kind of hightails it out of there, I don't think you get a Vigilante Mirio arc. Mirio, because again, Mirio just doesn't have that mentality to go Vigilante, I don't think. He kind of really is the pinnacle of what a hero is supposed to be. Excuse me. Oh, pardon me again, sorry. So, I don't see that happening, but I do see him, because they become disillusioned heroes, I do see Mirio kind of becoming a new like symbol of peace, basically, just straight out. Like, no, I'm going to be the hero that everyone can rely on. Even if you don't want me, I will be here, because that's what a hero does. And so he actually is the one to take on Muscular. He beats down Muscular because enough time passes that he probably unlocks Fajin as well, and maybe even has Gear Shift under his belt. Add on the fact he's probably got even a greater level of One for All. He just keeps training, getting ready, and he wallops One for All, or Muscular, and he'd probably go after Gaunt. Probably goes after him, but he's just got permeation. Just sorry, it's like sorry, boom. I was like, no, Lee Nagant, you were a hero once. We looked up to you in school. But there's always hope. There's always hope, Lee Nagant. You don't. There's always a way back. So, well, a true hero or something like that. I don't know. But she sees him as like a real hero. It's like very all right, fine. And so eventually, Shigaraki and him have to duke it out. Midoriya, is helping where he can on the battlefield, and maybe he joins Bakugo and trying to stop this, but he still gets separated. The difference is here, Toga is still in love with Deku. She has no interest in Mirio, so Mirio and him are duking it out. Mirio doesn't get separated here. Mirio and Shigaraki are duking it out, and again, he's using permeation to just completely throw him off kilter and just completely blitzing him with full power pseudo all for one shots. And again, the difference simply just comes down to Shigaraki can't hit this guy at all. And then when he doesn't even have to use Gear Shift on himself to compensate for that. He's could just use Gear Shift on Shigaraki, which would just be horrible. Oh God, that'd be horrifying. Using Gear Shift in combination with permeation, that sudden falling feeling, and mixed with just the manipulation of speed, falling at terminal velocity more or less or beyond, and then just undoing it and just oh my God, the sheer mental anguish Shigaraki would be under, even with all his upgrades, would be insane. Oh, it would be horrifying. And Mirio's smart enough to do this. Now, mind you, Mirio is also knows that if he uses Gear Shift on himself, he'd move at God knows speeds. But the catch-22 on that is he also knows that if he does it for too long, he's just not going to be able to breathe. However, that's surprisingly something he'd be okay with, because that's how his quirk works. He can't breathe. Like, all of his senses don't work while he is falling. So it's actually a sensation he'd be used to. So I think he could have actually trained a little bit with that to kind of just get used to that and be able to use Gear Shift a bit more effectively and for a bit longer. So their fight would go down. Their fight would be legendary. Unfortunately for Toga, Deku's not interested, and he kind of blows her back with sonic attacks. So it's Yeah, it would be a long drawn out fight for Shigaraki. And I think ultimately what would happen is Mirio does start sacrificing quirks to get into Shigaraki's psyche. Does he sacrifice every single one of them minus his own, obviously? I don't know if he sacrifices them all, but he certainly. But I wonder if using, because he's got permeation too. I wonder if he could theoretically permeate into Shigaraki's mind through One for All. Mm-hmm. Either way, it would be interesting to see what would happen. Like he's got no arms left, but then obviously Eri, gives her horn, restores his arms. He comes in, all the heroes remain, and I think this is where Deku would actually come into the picture. Deku, and Mary is struggling. I've got you. And, he fires himself with his Sonic Blast. He launches him with it. Launch me, Deku! Bah! And because that's why it's like I will not be stopped. You will be stopped, all for one. You'll never again will we live in the world. Never again will I allow you to create a world where a little girl can't feel safe to smile. Because that's what heroes do! Boom! And just takes down One for All. So this will actually be very interesting now. Mirio still would be the number one hero, although his time in the spotlight would be short. His lifespan has decreased God knows how long. Granted, he doesn't have One for All anymore, so I think that does save his lifespan a little bit. But I think at best we're looking at what was it, the fourth user with Danger Sense? Was he the fourth user? Yeah, he was the fourth user. What happened with him, where I think Mirio lives to be about 20, or sorry, 20, 40. Because the fourth user lived to be died at 40 because he just kept One for All till the very end. Here, Mirio actually only had it for about a year's time. So 40 to 50 I think is reasonable at least. Um, and, yeah, again, I think it's a matter of how long you have it for, too. Not saying Mario's lifespan wouldn't be shortened, but 40 to 50 I think is reasonable. So he'd still be Lemillion number one, but Deku probably is on the hero boards. I mean, he is a teacher also, I think. I still think he's a teacher. But Deku is on the hero boards because I think he's even ranked number 9, 8, or whatever because he always kept his quirk. And his quirk was always extremely powerful. So, yeah, he remains a hero. Eventually, him and Uraraka hook up. I mean, we know it. There was that last chapter where they basically agreed they had feelings for each other and probably wanted to explore that. But, yeah, that's really what it comes down to, I think. So, yeah, that's the end of this What If. My hero What Ifs are just never that long. The story just has so much moments without our main character that if it's a Deku-focused What If, it's just not going to last beyond 5 or 6 parts. Anyway, though, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. I'll put the poll up today when I get a chance to for what the next Dragon Ball Z What Ifs we'll start doing next week will be, or this Saturday. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.